My name is Brody, and this is the story of how I walked 35 miles in my Nike Dunks to meet Post Malone. So, just to start off, and like starting from the very beginning, starting that day, uh, Stu, my business partner, and I were like having meetings all throughout the week. There's Alex, I might refer to him as either one. And just for the preface of like this whole story, I'm gonna speak like you guys actually live in Pittsburgh. I'm just gonna like say the landmarks. So if you don't know what this stuff is, just Google it. And if you lived here your whole life, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So, uh, anyways, Alex and I start out that morning, and we're working back and forth with this dude Knarbs, Kyle Narber, the Philly guy, who I actually got connected to through one of my buddies from my old job. His name's Shane. Thank you, Shane. Knarbs is super freaking cool. So, anyways, he's our graphic designer and our screen printer. He's out and he's out in Philly. So, Stu and I were planning on having a meeting that day, and it was happenstance the same day as the Post Malone concert. So but we realized, us being so tunnel visioned, we realized we were kind of focusing on some of the wrong things, and like literally probably the opportunity of a lifetime was slipping through our fingers. So we realized, like, fuck it, like no time like the present. So we call each other up, or actually he had called me, and like when I got the phone call, I already knew exactly what he was talking about. So I was like, bet, like we'll figure it out. We're gonna head down to North Shore. You guys know where that's at. We're gonna head down to North Shore where they're doing the concert at, and we're gonna go from there. Like literally, we're just gonna fucking figure it out. And so we walk down there. He's like, all right, word. He runs home. He changes real quick. Fucking gets ready. I run home, do the same thing, grab everything that I need, and like literally everything that I'm thinking of that could like possibly get his attention if I happen to even run into him. Which, like, what are the fucking chances? And I had talked to a couple of people, like, as you know, Stu and I were trying to do this. We hit up Knarbs too, and we're like, bro, we're gonna go try and do it. Knarbs was all for it. He was like, fucking send it. He was like, keep him updated. But anyways, like, what are the chances of just like going downtown and running into Post Malone? So then I start thinking, I'm like, how else could this work out? Then I start thinking, another one of my buddies from my old job, Brett, again, Brett, thank you, had wood shop in high school with Post Malone, and I'm pretty sure his sister was like really good friends with them, whatever. Basically, we were just saying, yeah. So I texted Brett, my buddy from my old job, and I was like, hey man, could you try and get in contact with him, or at least see what you could do? Could you help me out? And he was like, yeah, of course. And so like I was saying, a little bit of backstory about the shirts. Like, I had started off with shirts before like anything else, and I'd always wanted a clothing company called Never Clock Out. So I finally did it, and a little, maybe about like a year and a half ago or so, and some people supported, some people didn't, obviously. And the one day Brett sent me a text, talking about Post Malone and like how he had woodshop with him, and how, like, he used to always talk about wanting to be a rapper, and like people would make fun of him. They're like, dude, that's like the dumbest fucking idea ever. Like, what are you gonna, like, yeah, good luck. Go ahead, man, shoot yourself in the foot. And anyways, Brent sent me the text the one day and told me the story about that, and I really needed that text at the time because I was getting other texts that were the complete opposite of that, and so I appreciate that, man. But anyways, so I reach out to him, see if he can get in contact with him, and he sees what he can do. So I reach back out to Stu, reach back out to Knarbs. I'm like, all right, here's the deal. Anyways, let him know, like, hey, we're gonna go downtown. We're gonna get a hotel room. I'm just gonna park my car wherever I can find parking. Pay the fee. Hopefully not get a ticket, but whatever happens. And then park my car, and I'm just gonna grab my backpack, throw all the shit that I need that like could possibly get his attention into my backpack, and yeah, and just walk around till I find a hotel to stay at. I park near the casino, and I walk around down towards PNC Park, and I start looking for the nearest hotel with an opening. So I walk into the first one that I find. They didn't have any openings. Then eventually, like, I walk into the second one. I like call them on the way there, see if they have openings. They're like, "Yep." I think it was like $200 or something like that. So it was like perfect. I'm on my way. So I meet them in there. They had two people working the front desk. Nice dude, and then nice lady too. And I walk in anyways. I tell them the story up to this point. I tell them the story up to this point, and I'm like, yeah. So basically, I'm just like down here. I'm staying here for the night. I'm trying to run into Post Malone, and the dude sitting at the counter. He's like, "Damn, man, the one day I didn't bring my demo tape." So I was like, I just started cracking up. I was like, "Dude, actually," and I pull out my phone and I show him the page for our barbecue, like Rubber Duck Barbecue in Pittsburgh, and yeah, that's the whole reason of me walking around trying to meet Post Malone. Is like I'm trying to put him onto some good barbecue. And anyways, I like show him the page and tell him the story. And already told him the story up to this point. And I'm like, man, if I ever get in front of the right person, or I could get you in front of the right person in the music industry, I'll see what I could do. Like, you're top of mind. So I'll throw them up on my Instagram later. But anyways, talked to them. They were super nice. It was Spring Hill Suites right down by PNC. Awesome staff, and then the dude at the counter all night long too was the freaking man. So anyways, I head up to my room, settle in. I had actually gotten 2 chocolate milks for Post Malone. I was like, dude, that'd be fucking gangster to just sit there and drink some Nesquik with Post. But yeah, so anyways, go up the hotel, or what do you call that thing? The fucking elevator. Go up the elevator to the hotel room. Go inside, sit down, set the fucking chocolate milk on the counter. And then I start calling Alex, touching base with him, hit up Knarbs again and just talking to him. Talked about the shirts a little bit too.
Alright, so how far did you have to walk from your car, like, to the hotel?
So I parked down near Rivers Casino, and from there to PNC is like about, depending on where you go to, like what side of it, it's about like a mile. So 2 miles round trip. And up to this point too, I'd already like went to the gym, walked about like 3 miles after my workout on the treadmill. Then I went to North Park. Most of you guys know where that's at. Walked around the lake. So I was at like 8 miles on my feet by this point. I was really trying to get some steps. And then Alex had called me, and we came to that conclusion that we were going down to North Shore. Anyways, yeah, it's a 2 miles round trip, and I just walked that loop all night long. I was like, I'm bound to fucking run into him. I think I walked it like easily over a dozen times back and forth. And so as I was walking the route all night long, I just had my backpack on me, I had my like fanny pack on me, and I had a couple business cards on me too, because I do freaking real estate. And anyways, that's the only business card I have right now. I'm trying to get others made for the other stuff. And anyways, I was walking around looking for him, and at this point it was already way after like people had left for the concert. They were breaking stuff down. They already had like the big rigs pulled up, and they like the barricades set up. And I was just walking around, and like finally let me backtrack a little bit. Like as the concert was getting let out, like the whole crowd was coming out. I was passing some cards to people as they were coming out. But then what I really liked too was the what's that called? The people handing out the shirts, like Post merch outside, like $20 or whatever a shirt. I just walked up to every one of them, gave them a business card, and I was like, "Hey man, I started off with shirts." Those dudes were pretty cool, and every single one of them took one. Said they were super appreciative, and anyway, so like I go and I start walking down around like along the actual shore where some of the people have their boats set up. Run into some city of Pittsburgh cops down there. Let them know about the barbecue. Give them a card too. Let them know those dudes are freaking dudes. We keep walking along the way. There was this then there was this big boat down there. I remember the name of the boat too. I'm not gonna say it, but they looked like they were having a pretty good time. They looked like they'd probably enjoy some good barbecue too. So I tried getting their attention. I was like, hey, do you guys like barbecue? They ignored me a little bit. Very counterintuitive to the name of their boat. And anyways, I was like, all right, well, whatever. And then there was some nice lady was going and getting on the same boat, and I asked her if she liked barbecue, and she told me she didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So I was like, all right, have a good day, you will soon. And went about my merry way. And anyways, now at this point, I'd been walking around. I had easily done over a marathon on my feet at this point. Bear in mind, like in Nike Dunks, there's probably better footwear to do that in, but started making my way up to like where the big rigs had set up their barricades or whatever, and they started breaking down the show. And I was walking, and I saw this one dude, and I saw them breaking stuff down, and everyone else was in like, you know, event uniforms or whatever, like the jackets and stuff like that. This was like one of the very few dudes who wasn't, and I was so tired at this point, like I was exhausted. And so I like walked over to the fence, and I, you know, was wearing all my stuff, my backpack, my fanny pack, my shirt, and I just like stood there with like my arms crossed, and then I just like kind of just like hooked my hands in my backpack and just stood there watching them for a little bit, and just watching them break down. And this one dude I'm like talking about, I was like, oh, that dude kind of looks like Post Malone. But I was thinking like, well, no, that's not Post Malone though. Like, there's no way that's Post Malone. And so I'm like sitting there, I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm just standing there thinking to myself, and I'm watching him like point and like talk to people, and like he's super nice dude. Like you could tell like he's just there's something about him, like he's like very wealthy, but he doesn't want people to know, or like he's just humble. He just had an aura to him. And he's standing there just like talking to people, broing out, like laughing a little bit. And at one point he like looked over at me, and he just glanced at me and went back to talking to his boys, and you know, talking to people or whatever. And I was like still just standing there doing my thing. And finally he like looked over again, and I think he read my shirt or whatever, and he like gave me a little nod, and I gave him a nod back. And we were standing there, and he starts to make his way over to like the closest big rig, which was like the back of it was open, and they were loading stuff into it. And it was about like I'd say like 20-25 feet in front of me. And so I'm thinking like, now I'm like, wait, this dude's like the fucking man. Like this is like my one shot. So I'm thinking like, all right, what do I have on me that like could get this guy's attention super quick? And for those of you guys who know, he's like super into like tactical gear and like guns and shooting and stuff like that. He knows how to set up a gun, and he knows how to set up a fucking kit. So I had my patch from my old job on me, and I knew he would know what it is right away. So I flash it to him, and obviously I show him the other side, and he like grinned, and he like starts walking over to me, and I just give him like a 30-second pitch or whatever, and the whole time he like barely says a word. I don't even remember if he said a word, because I was just letting it flow. And I was like, hey sir, I appreciate your time. I was like, this was, you know, whatever. Talked about the patch for a second, because if there's like one time to, you know, talk about that, it's like that time. And so I talk about the patch for a little bit, or like 10 seconds. I'm like, hey, my buddy and I, we're starting up my buddy Stu, like we're starting up a local barbecue in the area. We're really trying to like anchor it into the Pittsburgh culture, man. I'd appreciate it if you just check it out. And at this point my phone was dead too. Like I didn't have a portable charger. My charger was in my car where I had parked it at, and I was planning on at one point on one of the trips stopping and grabbing it. So my phone was dead. I was like, fuck, I don't even have like anything to show them, or like a logo, or I don't have a card. I was like, fuck. Literally I was like, fuck. And but I was like, shit. So I like reach in, I pull out my real estate card, and I hand it to him. I'm like, if you just like look that up, or like go to my Instagram there, like you'll be able to find the barbecue. And he just like smiles and nods again, doesn't say a word. And I'm like, dude, thank you so much for your time, like thank you. And he's like smiles and nods, he's like, have a good one. And like I turn around, I walk away, and as I'm walking away, like I'm doing my same loop that I was doing. And this is where it starts to get like a little bit weird. I don't know if you guys are into this or not, whatever, but like both my grandpas are passed, and I feel like super connected to them all the time. So like sometimes even more than I did when they were here kicking it with me. So, as of how things have been unfolding with the barbecue, right now, one of the grandpas that I'm referencing, he was a city of Pittsburgh firefighter for I don't even know how many years. And come to find out, our first event coming up is about to be at a volunteer fire company, Seville to be exact, Seville Volunteer Fire Company. And so that's just like cool how that kind of worked itself out like that, almost like he's still taking care of me. And anyways, I was doing this route, and on like at this point, bear in mind I'd already walked over a marathon, and I'd only noticed it at this point. I looked to my right, and there was like the Korean War Memorial here in Pittsburgh, and my grandpa had also fought in the Korean War. So I was like, damn, ain't that a fucking coincidence, you know? And I'm walking forward, and about like 50 feet up in front of me, there's like placed, not directly centered, but almost like folded up nicely, set like right off to the side. There was literally the fucking Post VIP hat, Stetson, like a John B. Stetson from his concert, and like sitting there, tucked nicely, just right off to the side, like it was just sitting there for me, dude. Or someone had put it there for me, and I like picked it up, and dude, it's a fucking nice hat. Like, brother, it's a damn nice hat. And like I picked that up, I was like, fuck that. You know, that was like the cherry on top. That was even weirder. And so I like switched it off from like this hat that I'm wearing now from my old job. And I put it on, threw this hat in my backpack. I was like, let's see if I could do anything with this hat. So I just put it on. I started wearing it around for the rest of the night, and I just like kept doing my lap. So, or my little route that I had been doing, and I'd also been like stopping up into the hotel room like a bunch of times throughout the night, and like that's why like the dude on the graveyard shift was looking at me like I was probably like crazy or I don't know, fucking strung out on something. But I told him what was going on at the end of the night. But anyways, so I had this hat and I was wearing it, and as I was walking down, like continuing on my route, headed down towards like Tequila Cowboy, McFadden's, like all those places, like the bars on North Shore. Oh yeah, I started making my way down there, and I was like thinking to myself the whole time, like that dude I like just like soaking it all in, like that dude I just gave my card to was like super. You could tell he was super important. Like he was the man, and I was thinking like, oh, that had to have been like his sibling, like one of his siblings maybe, or like that's on his team. But like I like Post Malone, but like I'm not a fucking creep. I don't know what his family looks like, so I Google his family, and it wasn't any of his siblings. And then I'm thinking like, well, was it his manager? Wasn't his manager? Then I'm thinking like, dude, there's no one else that looks that much like Post Malone than Post Malone. And then I was like, holy shit, it fucking hit me. I was like, the person that I was talking to, like that fucking dude down that, like behind the fence, like that was fucking Post Malone. And I literally like stopped walking. I was like, dude, I couldn't fucking believe it, dude. It was like unbelievable. And the crazy part is too that like brings it a little bit full circle and made it feel even more surreal. Is like, you know, speaking in terms of, which I learned from a cool dude, Chris CW, is speaking in terms of like, and his, you know, his right hand girl, but or right hand lady, but yeah, you gotta speak in terms of like how things have already happened. And I was like, you just gotta trust it, man, and you gotta believe in it so much. Before you even tell people about it, you gotta believe in it so much that like no one could convince you that it won't come true. And that's kind of what I did. I shut off my phone in the hotel room beforehand, or at least I did afterwards. But I set my phone down. I was on the phone with Stu, and I thought I had hung up at this point. But I was so pissed off and fired up and ready to go. I was like, man, fuck this shit. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. So I set my phone up and I take a video. And I didn't realize the audio on the video didn't record because I was still on the phone with Stu. But Stu heard the whole thing. I was like, explain basically what I explained, but a little bit more expletives. And I like wrote in my notebook. I was like, I'm hanging out with Post Malone tonight, and I dated it. I time stamped it. Fucking closed the notebook up, put my pen away, threw it back in my backpack, and I was like, it's done. And then I picked my phone back up, and I heard Stu go like, "Damn, dude, that fucking right." And I didn't even know he was still on the phone. So that just made it feel a little bit more surreal. But now on the back end of the night, I had started making my way towards Tequila Cowboy, and I got there and like they were just shutting down. So I there were a couple of people hanging out outside and stuff or waiting on their rides or whatever. So started talking to a couple of them, and I just wanted to like sit there in the chair that they got up front. Usually they have like a security guard sitting there or whatever, but it was that late. And but they had a couple of guys still there, and I went up to one of the security guards after a little bit, and I was like, "Hey man, do you guys have any like bottles of water or anything like that? I'm working tonight. I'm like stone cold sober." And he's like, "No, dude, I'm sorry, I can't help you out," which that's fine. And so I'm like, "All right, man, no worries." And I just like start walking away, like working my way down the stairs, and then this dude's like, "Hey, bro," and I like turn around, and he's sitting in the chair outside with his backpack on, whatever, like his phone, wallet, and stuff on the table, and he's got like a giant jug, like 1 gallon jug of like giant ice cube inside too, like it was just in a freezer. He's like, "Come here, man, I got you." So I waterfall off of him. He hands me the jug. I waterfall off him. I'm like, "Dude, I appreciate that so much." And he's like, "No problem." And he said it in a way where I was like, "Bro, that was fucking water, right?" And he goes, "Bro, that was water. It's all right, man. Like I work here." And I was like, "Okay, dude, I appreciate it." So passed him a card, and then him and I ended up talking a little bit more. And it turns out he's got a pretty cool position at Tequila Cowboy. I'm not gonna say what, just because I don't know if he'd be cool with it, but he's a cool ass dude. So again, thanks for the water, man, if you're seeing this. But after that, I kind of just soaked it all in. Headed back to the Spring Hill Suites right by PNC, and then or no, I'm sorry. After that, I had to go grab my fucking charger from my car, and then walk back to my hotel room, and then I realized I forgot the charging brick back at my car, so I had to walk back for that too, like a fucking jag-off. But yeah, I mean, went back to the hotel, finally recapped and got the night shift guy up to speed. Went up to the room, passed out. I think it was like the sun was already up at this point. I think it was like 6 in the morning, 6 or 7. Slept for like an hour and a half. Woke up, ready to go on adrenaline, and then just texted my buddy Sam. Texted Chris. Filled him in on the situation, and yeah, they were freaking pumped too. Yeah, and I think that's about it, man. That's the story about how I walked 35 miles on my Nike Dunks to meet Post Malone. I hope you guys enjoyed.